Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena here. You're watching our video comparison between the Apple iPhone 6 and the iPhone 5S. So it's the new versus the old, the predecessor and the successor. So if you own the iPhone 5S right now and you're thinking about going with the iPhone 6 but not too sure whether or not the investment in picking it up is worth it, well, we're here to find out how they compare against one another. So the iPhone 6 isn't just a larger size version of the iPhone 5S before it, but rather we see the changes that make the iPhone 6 such a sophisticated looking device. The two still sport similar qualities in the way that they're premium. They have brushed aluminum casings, but the iPhone 6 has been stretched out. It is bigger, but at the same time it is really skinny with its profile, and it's still solid. And honestly, we don't miss the chamfered beveled edge of the iPhone 5S because the rounded corners of the iPhone 6 make it very comfortable to hold. So there are a few changes between the two. For starters, if we look on the left edge, we have their mute switches, but the volume controls have changed on the iPhone 6. They're now elongated instead of circular. They still have really nice responsive feels. On the bottom edge, they have the same set of ports. You have their microphones, you have the 3.5mm headset jacks, internal speakers, and you have the Lightning docking ports there. And on the right side, you have their nano SIM slots, but with the iPhone 6, its button has been moved to the right side instead of the top from the previous iPhone 5S, just because it's easier access with such a large handset. They also pack the same biometric Touch ID fingerprint sensors, which are incorporated into their home buttons. We have an easy time unlocking the two. One of the more profound differences between the two are their respective displays. So the iPhone 5S features a 4-inch 640 by 1136 Retina display, while the iPhone 6 jumps up to a larger 4.7-inch 750 by 1334 Retina display. So when you do the math, they actually come out to the same pixel density count of 326 pixels per inch. So there's not one clear winner when it comes to details. There's no denying that Apple relies on some high quality displays for its iPhones, and it shows here with these two devices. So the iPhone 6 has a stronger brightness output. It's at 606 nits versus the 587 nits mark produced by the iPhone 5S. So even though there's an advantage with the newer model, in all fairness, the two are still bright and very visible outdoors. At the same time, they have pretty similar color reproductions, very nice and pleasing, great viewing angles. So like I said, there's just a lot of high quality elements between them. Being iPhones and whatnot, they're treated to the same software experience, which is iOS 8, the most up-to-date version of the platform. So as far as the visuals are concerned, and for the most part, most of the software features, they're pretty much the same, though there are some added benefits with the iPhone 6. For example, you have the one-handed operation mode, so you basically double tap the home button, it shrinks the screen down so you have easier access to your finger, and that helps seeing that it has a larger display. It's not a problem with the iPhone 5S and its smaller screen. The other thing is found with the home screen as well. Just because of the larger panel in the new model, you have just an extra row of icons. Don't count out the iPhone 5S because it still packs a punch, even despite the fact that it's using older hardware technically. It's powered by a dual-core 1.3 GHz Apple A7 chip with 1 GB RAM, while the iPhone 6 packs a newer dual-core 1.4 GHz Apple A8 chip with 1 GB of RAM. The two are very snappy and responsive, but the gaming performance with the iPhone 6 is by far more riveting. So the iPhone 6 features a slightly newer and faster LTE radio, but of course both devices are pretty fantastic when it comes to surfing the web. You get really fast data speeds and of course smooth and buttery navigational controls. Likewise, they also offer pretty much the same set of connectivity features as well. So you're going to get things like assisted GPS with GLONASS, you have Bluetooth involved, you have also dual band Wi-Fi, but the iPhone 6 has the added benefit and convenience of NFC, which is something that many people were craving for with the 5S. taking a look into their cameras, we notice that the iPhone 6's lens sticks out from the surrounding surface. That's something that's a little bit distracting, whereas before, the camera lens with the iPhone 5S is flush, so it doesn't really interfere with the surface all that much. But the hardware remains largely the same. They both size up at 8 megapixels. They have f2.2 aperture lens, but the iPhone 6 improves with its new technology that Apple calls focus pixels. It's a flashy name that's already available, so basically you get face detection for better and faster focus. So you're probably all wondering what kind of changes or improvements do we have with the newer camera in the iPhone 5-6? Well, honestly, when you're taking shots outdoors where there's plenty of sun, you'd be hard-pressed to even realize the difference between the two cameras, just because they deliver exceptional looking details and great colors, though there's less saturation with the iPhone 6, so it has a more natural look to it. But like I said, the majority of outdoor shots, you're hardly gonna notice a difference. Where we do see the biggest difference is in low lighting performance. Now, the iPhone 5S was already pretty good at that, but Apple has improved it with its successor. So basically, there's less noise in the shots, and on top of that, the images tend to become sharper as well. They're running the same music players. There's nothing different or beneficial with one. But as far as the audio quality, they both have single speakers which are placed in the bottom right corners. The iPhone 6 has a stronger volume output. In fact, Apple has improved it, so it now delivers 74.5 decibels of power versus the 71 decibels of the iPhone 5S. Well, there's no arguing that these two handsets are more than capable when it comes to playing high-definition 1080p videos, but you get a more ideal experience with the iPhone 6 due to its larger display. It's just better actually for the occasion. Unfortunately, we weren't too impressed with the battery life of the iPhone 6 just because it was only a hairline better than the iPhone 5S. So with our battery benchmark test, the 5S managed to put out 5 hours and 2 minutes, which is average, whereas with the iPhone 6, it edges it out very slightly at 5 hours and 22 minutes. So there are 5 things that you really need to know before making a decision. First, let's talk about price point. iPhone 6 is going to cost you $200 to your contract versus the iPhone 5S. You could get it half the cost, $100. So if you're all about the budget, stick with the iPhone 5S. It's still an equipped phone. If not, if you want to get the latest and greatest, no question about the iPhone 6. Okay, the second thing are their sizes. They're both pretty manageable to hold in the hand. So ultimately, if you want a bigger display, go with the iPhone 6. Thirdly, there's NFC, which is something you get with the iPhone 6. Nothing that's going to be available with the iPhone 5S. So if you like the advantages of having NFC on board, you're going to probably want to stick with the iPhone 6. Both have 120 frames per second slow motion video capture, but it's only the iPhone 6 that has the added option of capturing it at 240 frames per second. And finally, the iPhone 6 has the better low lighting performance with its camera, so if you're gonna have a tendency of shooting in mostly low lighting conditions, you might opt to go with the iPhone 6 on this one. It's not to say that the iPhone 5S is a total wash in the face of the iPhone 6, just because it's still quite actually a affordable smartphone.